So when we think that businesses could be lost. Many people, investors could be scared of coming to our country because of the potential of a military takeover. So I can understand why efforts are being made to douse this. But no doubt about it, largely disgruntled officers, many of whom have failed promotion exams or stagnated on their postings, are people believed to have been contacted by some politicians to topple the government. Now, that dangerous conspiracy that Nigeria dodged a bullet when that they using internal intelligence gathering tools. But from what we had, there was a desire to shoot and kill prominent officers in the National Assembly, the presidency, and even security chiefs. What we can encourage is let the forensic experts continue to track the accounts linked to political sponsors of this coup, or the coup that was being planned, being consummated. It wasn't eventually realized, but there was a plan in place. From my checks, from some of the facts at our disposal, we have to give kudos once again to the defense headquarters for quickly nipping this in the bud. But they must continue to investigate to find out who had a hand in this, who are civilian conspirators, and they must expand the investigation to ensure that no one who had a hand in this escapes the long arm of the law. Nigeria is not Mali. Nigeria is not Burkina Faso. A military rule at this time is not what everyone wants to say. Even Sowore, that people always say, oh, he's such a courageous person, he can abuse anybody. So he's already warning that the military will be worse than the civilian, because he knows some of the bad mouthing of people that he does over the place. He cannot try it under a military rule. He will be kept behind bars. So we kept behind bars. We survived the military. Maybe I would have been dead by now. My editor, Kunle Ajibade, was jailed over a phantom coup for a story that I wrote. I came down from Kano. I was given the mandate to do the story because of my links within the military. I did the story. I was just relaxing at home when they told me they had come to pick my editor. Thank God I was not at work on the day. I would have been the one I picked. Kunle Ajibade remained in jail. It was the Abdul Salami regime that released them for doing nothing. Many people were tortured to death. So Sowore was this, and he's warning that this military will be worse than these civilians that we are fighting. No. So no matter what people may say about him, he does not fear anybody. He knows those that should fear. He knows that nobody No military regime would tolerate the level of physical um, um, of the expression of press freedom that our people are enjoying and are even abusing. Press freedom that enables us to lie against even innocent people. Look at what was done to one of the P Square brothers. So we don't want military rule, and we must encourage the armed forces, the leadership of the armed forces, to continue to identify disgruntled elements within the forces who may have plans to topple a democratically elected government in our country. You can ask for change, but change simply for the sake of it is it just in the sense of the word. Change
That's right.
just for the sake of it. No, that's not what we want to see. We don't want to move from frying pan to fire.
To fire.
If we must change this regime, we must change the regime democratically. And it is not impossible to change the regime. As I've told people who are jumping up and down and jubilating over defection of governors, I've said repeatedly, even when I met the chairman of the APC, I told him, I said, the fact that governors are defecting to your party does not mean that those governors will be able to deliver all of their states. We saw it
That's
in the
right.
presidential election in 2023. At least 10 of the states that the APC controlled, they lost it. You can imagine APC winning only 2 local governments in the whole of Kaduna State.
That's
So
right.
we must keep faith in this democracy. We must believe that within the democracy, we can make change possible rather than thinking that, oh, there is a military that is the best alternative. These soldiers that they themselves are even more corrupt than politicians. Yes,
That's right. That's right.
they themselves are more corrupt
Let
than
me.
politicians, and their eyes are open, their mouths are wide. So let's not kid ourselves.
Hmm. Right. Let me take some
Let's
comments.
not kid ourselves.
Let me take some comments on Trump designating Nigeria a country of particular concern. Oluwaseyi Adigun says America keeps acting like the global referee. Yes, Christians are being killed, but what about Muslim victims of the same violence? They should fix their gun problem before lecturing Nigeria. Grace Wondo says, I've lost 2 cousins in Plateau crisis. If it takes Trump shouting from Washington for Abuja to act, then maybe the designation is a wake-up call our leaders need. Bashir Sulaiman says, labeling Nigeria a country of concern oversimplifies decades of complex ethnic, economic, and political tensions. This isn't a religion war. It is a governance failure. And Rufus Adebanjo says, let's be honest, the world only pays attention when it fits their political narrative. Where was this concern when IDPs were starving in Benue and Zamfara? Fatima Yakubu says, Christians, Muslims, everyone is bleeding. We should stop defending tribes of faith and start demanding justice. Full stop. I so agree with BKO. On the coup allegation, Ifeanyi Okpara says 40 arrests sounds less like a coup and more like a purge. We've seen this movie before, labeled dissent as treason and silent critics. Khalid Danladi says, if officers are plotting against democracy, they should face the law, but transparency is key. We can't trade human rights for stability. Ngo Zimba says, every government in trouble suddenly discovers a coup plot. It is the oldest PR trick in our playbook. All right, let us move on to the last topic for conversation. The main opposition party, the PDP, had planned its national convention for November 15th to 16th, 2025 in Ibadan. But the court order halted the process, and the tensions between factions loyal to the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and other party elites have filled the suit that stopped the convention. So, what do you make of all these, counter and how do they put it? the allegations, the accusations, the fight, and the factionalization or balkanization of the PDP?
You see, I was reading something on Facebook where somebody who's supposed to be a journalist was attacking the judiciary. What happened? There were different cases filed against the PDP convention. Lamido, who wanted to contest for the position of chairman of the party at the age of 77, went to court and told the court to stop the PDP convention from taking place until the matter of what he called his illegal exclusion from contesting is addressed. Now, if Justice Lefu had listened to Sule Lamido's prayers, he would have given an order stopping the convention from taking place. Now, Sule Lamido, as far as he was concerned, the convention should be stopped because the leadership decided to not allow him to take part in the election for the chairman of the party. But Justice Lefu said, no, I'm going to give the respondents 76 hours from the time the motion on notice was filed, was served them, to come and explain to him why he should not grant Sule Lamido's prayers. I like the decision that Justice Lefu took, which was to listen to both sides before taking a decision. If he now concluded in the final analysis that Sule Lamido had been unfairly treated, he could then decide to stop the convention and force the leadership of the party to do what is right. What is right would then mean, okay, the person that you have stopped from contesting, give him a chance, make the field open to people who are free to contest. That is one side. The other matter was brought by some PDP members who argued that the party breached its own constitution by not giving the INEC 21 days notice. He claimed that they did not serve INEC 21 days notice of this convention. Secondly, that the signature of the national secretary did not pass through the notice of the convention. So the chairman alone cannot sign. This has always been the case. So Justice Omotosho then decided that, you cannot hold this convention until you have complied with the constitution of your party. Because INEC ought to supervise the exercise, but the judge affirmed that INEC did not get a statutory 21 days notice. So the judge said, you cannot hold that convention until you have complied with the Constitution. And if they do not comply with the Constitution, you and I know that whatever transpires from that convention is a nullity. The PDP must stop doing this sort of thing to itself. Remember how the National Assembly members from Plateau State lost their positions. They lost their positions because of this same kind of problem. If you conduct congresses that are in violation of the Electoral Act, then whatever proceeds from the outcome of such Congress will not be obeyed. I expect, I'm not writing off the PDP, I'm not writing off the convention. I expect them to appeal, for example, appeal the judgment of Justice Omotosho. If they had fulfilled those obligations and then the judge went ahead and gave a judgment against them, they have the right of appeal. Now, the final part of it is the suspension of key national ESCO members of the PDP. Under Section 58 of the PDP Constitution, a member who engages in acts capable of bringing the party to disrepute, who disobeys lawful directives, or causes disaffection among members of the party is liable to disciplinary action. So now, the National Legal Advisor of the party, Kamaldeen Ajibade San, has been suspended for 30 days. The Deputy National Legal Advisor, Okechukwu Osuala, and they too has been suspended for 30 days. The National Organizing Secretary, Umar Bature, and the Secretary, Samuel Anyanwu, have both been suspended for a month. So PDP has wielded the big stick. The question people are asking is, why did it take this long to move against people that the party was convinced were working against its interest? What were they doing all along? Why didn't you win the big stick before now? Why did you wait until the convention of your party had become imperiled before you moved against officers of the party that you suspected were blacklegs working against the well-being of the party? So PDP often behaves like a party desperate to destroy itself. Because if you knew some people were out to ensure that the PDP dies untimely, what was holding you from moving against such individuals? Because if the PDP cannot hold this convention, then it is unfortunate. So this is where we are. I wish the party well. I want to see the PDP hold this convention. We need a solid.
Hello, Biko. We're struggling to hear you. Hello, Biko.
So I'm saying that if the PDP is unable to hold this convention, then it's very unfortunate. And I said all along, I'm sure you heard that why did it take them so long to move against blacklegs within their party? We need a solid opposition. I personally would like to see the PDP have a successful convention. And if they must go to court and have the judgment of Justice Omotosho set aside so that they can have their convention, I support them absolutely. And I do not think it makes sense for party members, including Sule Lamido, to go to court seeking to stop his own party from having an elective convention. I don't think it is right. Sule Lamido has been in the party from inception. He ought to know better. Because if that judge had granted his prayers, honestly, nobody will even be talking about those officers that have now been suspended. They will be talking about Sule Lamido as having engineered the suspension of the convention of the PDP. But the judge held back from granting his prayers and said, I want to listen to the respondents first. So that's where we are.
That's right. Let me take some comments on this. Michael Ekong says, so PDP can't even manage one convention, yet they want to manage a country. Now, wow. Salma Ibrahim, I think this legal standoff is good. Maybe now they'll stop treating the party like a private estate and start respecting due process. Iken Naobiora says, the PDP crisis shows Nigerian politics is about personalities, not policies. Until that changes, conventions will keep turning into court cases. Lillian Okafor says, honestly, I see this as growing pains. Every party goes through it. The APC had its own meltdown too. Internal democracy is messy, but necessary. As with Poston Biko, I don't know whether you agree with Lillian Okafor, on this, saying that APC had its own meltdown too, and that internal democracy is messy, but necessary. So she's very optimistic that the PDP might, eventually find its footing ahead of the 2027 general election.
Yeah, they can still redeem their image, but I had looked forward to this convention of the party, but now the convention is in danger of not holding because they need to set aside Justice Omotosho's judgment. They need to set it aside so that they can proceed. If they do not succeed, and I don't know what Justice Lifu's court, we can't say at this stage what kind of judgment will come from there, where one of the most loyal party members, Sule Lamido, decided to go to court that he was not allowed to contest for chairman. And that for that reason, the court should stop the process until the determination of his substantive suit. If the court grants that order, where would the PDP be? Where would the PDP be?
That's right. Interesting developments, Bikil. I guess it's about time we call it a wrap on the program. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolaudu, for those certain analyses as always.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian, for doing this with me. I say a big thank you to our viewers. We appreciate your loyalty, standing by us through thick and thin. We'll continue to give our best for your sake.
Yeah, as Vico said, thanks to our audience for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News AG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.
Thank you, Brian.